Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another path. Sorry, did I wake you up when I was recording? I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm so sorry I woke you up, okay? I'm so sorry, I'm gonna keep it down, okay? I'm so sorry. Guys, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content, or Lily's gonna devour your souls in her dreams. Thanks. Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another Path of Exile video. In this one, I'm going to talk about what I believe to be one of the most broken and overpowered builds that we've had in Path of Exile for a very long time. And that is the Dark Pact Skeleton Self-Cast spell build. Now the thing is with this build is that it's a very niche playstyle. It's one of my favorite boss builds. I used it for carry services in the community in the early stage of a league. I've done it several times as a league starter. It works great on low budget, it works great on medium budget, and it works absolutely insanely well on high budget. And you can make a defensive version, which is the one I recommend in my build guide, which is linked in the descriptions below, of course, which will be updated once we have POB information, of course. But there's also an offensive version, a glass cannon, which is something that I've used for a long time that I tend to prefer to for boss services myself. Obviously, this is something that is specifically designed to carry 6 people in the feared encounters, for example. Now, either way, bringing it into this video is to talk about the fact that this is one of the most broken builds in the entire game. And the reason it is not seeing any nerfs is because not enough people are playing it. It's just that niche. And it's similar to many other builds that we've seen, such as Seismic Trap, that barely got nerfed, that people had to scream for it, and GGG just kept refusing to properly nerf it simply because of the fact that not enough people are playing it. And that's the case we have when it comes to the Dark Pact. So what happened in 3.21 with the patch notes? What is the impacts of the patch notes that is now affecting the actual, one of the most broken builds in the entire game, in my opinion? So let's just dive into it and go through the details of what the impacts are, and how good will the build be for 3.21. There is a couple of big and notable changes, and I want to talk about some of the buffs to it first, and that is understanding the differences between actual offensive scaling and actual clear speed change scaling, as well as defensive scalings. Now, obviously, there are some mana concerns when it comes to this build, which shouldn't be any problems whatsoever on any of the budgets, but I will verify this once we have the POB sorted. But the other changes are very notable through Arcane Surge. Now, what's happening to Arcane Surge is that it is no longer going to grant more spell damage, which is a significant damage reduction for the actual build. However, it will now instead make so that Arcane Surge grants increased cast speed up to 20% at level 20. Now, something to point out here is that cast speed for the Dark Pact build is valued way higher than increased or even more multiplicative modifier for damage, such as more spell damage. So in this case, I am not confident if this is going to be an increase or decrease of damage output, but what is 100% guaranteed with this change is that the cast speed is the #1 factor that plays a role when it comes to the clear speed efficiency of the build. So this specific change is increasing the clear speed of the build significantly and provides tons, and I mean tons, of quality of life. The build is already doing a tremendous amount of damage, so even if the result would be that the DPS output is slightly lower, the efficiency and the clear speed and quality of life just got increased significantly because of this specific change. Something else that has happened that is a little bit more concerning is actually the corruption notable. Now, the corruption notable is on the north side of the witch starting area, providing us with an increase of withered by 35%. Now, this is down to 20%, it's a 15% cut, and they're also removing Chaos Mastery, 20% increase of wither. Now, to understand how wither works, I'm going to bring up a calculator and show you real quick. Essentially what is happening is that wither increased damage taken by 6% per stack, and any individual target can have 15 stacks, and this is increased chaos damage taken. That is multiplied by 15, you get 90% increased chaos damage taken. Now, if you have increased efficiencies to your wither, such as the pre-nerfed 35% corruption and 20% from the actual withered effect, well, that makes it 55%. You'd have to calculate each individual stack and round them down. That would be 6 times 1.55, rounded down would be 9. 9 multiplied by 15 is 135. That is a 45% increased chaos damage taken modifier through one mastery node, and is notable. instead of having the 90 plus having this 135% increased damage taken by the enemies, the nerfs are going to change this 6% scaling into only having 20% scaled instead of 55%, which would look like this. That is a 7.2, and you'll have to take 7 times 15 instead, which means there's a difference of 30% chaos damage taken that we've lost because of the changes. This specifically is a direct nerf to the actual build. Now, the real question when it comes to this is obviously, will those nodes then be actually worth it? And if you're looking at the path of building and you check out the tree for, let's say, the offensive version of the Dark Pact build, you can see that the investment is actually going for Heart of Darkness, which gives us tons of chaos penetration and chaos damage. So picking up the damage nodes into the corruption is not something we go out of our way to pick up, but we will be skipping the Chaos Mastery because the effect of Withered is now gone. If we then look at Chaos Masteries of what will actually be available instead, we have things such as 5% chance to inflict Withered to apply 15 Withered debuffs. We don't really need this. It's kind of nice, but we're going to apply this through different means. Low budget uses Skeletons with Withering Touch. Higher budget uses a Glorious Vanity. We have 10% more chaos damage to enemies which have energy shield. This is not a bad node at all if you want to. It's a big damage increase versus those targets since we're not actually hitting their energy shield anyways. You have other sources such as increased maximum chaos rest, which can be very, very good for this build. Your plus level of all chaos skills, where you lose 10% life and energy when you use the chaos skill, is not something I would recommend taking. This is why it's not included. It's an old one. It's not included in the build guide. And then you have the recover 1% of life or with a debuff for enemies killed, which is completely useless in my opinion. But at least this one will be there, which is really nice for the majority of bosses that you'll encounter. And I think it's going to be a nice solution or addition to make up for the little bit of lack of the withered scaling. However, it will result in a slight damage debuff, but we can look at the patch notes and let's assume that the spell damage change to the Arcane Surge is in a position where the Arcane Surge changes is going to give us about the same damage output, which is what I'm expecting to see. This is still providing a ton of speed for us, which is rather interesting. And the changes to Arcane Capacitor should be noted, and I'll talk about them real quick in this video. So the small passes prior to Arcane Capacitor now provides Mana and Arcane Surge effect. They now instead provide 20% increased effective Arcane Surge instead of 10%, and the small entry passes skills for this cluster also has 20% increased effective Arcane Surge on you. These nodes are located on the far left side of the Templar starting zone next to the minion clusters here called Arcane Capacitor. That would be these nodes over here, giving us increased efficiency of the actual notable. And having increased effect of the Arcane Surge is going to further scale this 20% increased cast speed that we're getting from this, which, as we stated, is not just a DPS upgrade, but also a significant clear speed increase for the build as well. So I'm very excited to see when PUB is ready to play around with this. But needless to say, the TLDR result of the Dark Pact build is literally to say that this is going to be just as insane as it's always been, and it is still just as niche playstyle as it's always been. If you do want to check out this build, it is very complex to understand. It is new player friendly if you make sure you actually read the guide. So do check out the descriptions, the guide linked in the descriptions below. And in that guide, you can see information of how the offensive scaling works for the build, how the defensive scalings work for the build. And we also have obvious help for everyone who has any questions about any of my build guides or any guides that I have. You can swing by the PoE Vault Discord for any sort of assistance so we can make sure that you get to stay on the right track with this build. Anyways, that's basically all I have for you today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, as always, stay safe, keep rocking.